Welcome to day 4 of the 7 in 7 challenge. Kevin Sinfield's and team's challenge to run 7 marathons in 7 days, all in under 4 hours. And an extra element thrown into today's challenge, the wintry weather of Saddleworth and snow and everything else that could come. So we'll introduce everyone we've got on the call. We're delighted to be joined by Ian from the MND Association again. Rob is at home listening in and catching up on everything that's been happening. Brilliant to have Tracy Sanderson on the call too, from Bradford. Tracy's a volunteer with the West Yorkshire branch. She's an association visitor who first met the branch when her husband was diagnosed with MND and received support from the branch. We'll hear a little bit more about Tracy's story a little bit later on and the great work she does, particularly with the students at Bradford Uni. And they're dealing with MND. But we'll start as always with the man of the moment, Kev. We always thought Marathon 4 would be a tough one. It was unknown territory for you, obviously having done 3 and 3 in the preparation for the run. But how was day 4?
Yeah, it was tough. It was certainly tough. Didn't sleep great last night. In fact, I haven't done all week. I'm not sure whether it's all them sugary gels and drinks that you're having whilst we're trying to get through. And so I didn't sleep particularly well. And I remember waking up this morning and I've gone into the bathroom to brush my teeth and I looked in the mirror and I thought, who is this old man staring back at me? So that's why I've had a shave since I've ran today, because I've just looked at these eyes that were hardly open. The beard's going grey and I'm like, wow, what's happened here? So
if that'll me at 22, mate.
yeah. So I've looked out the window and seen the snow as well, and I thought, well, we knew day 4 were going to be tough, but it's going to throw some challenges our way today. But it were actually really, really good. You know, it were a big conscious effort this morning to be a bit smarter and a bit more disciplined on how we attacked today, and it was absolutely the right call. You know, as the challenge is to get them all under 4. Unfortunately, it's not the cumulative number that matters. It's actually getting them all under 4. So if it had been a cumulative one, we'd have had an hour in the bank now. But no, it was good. It was good. There was no dark moments yet. Big milestone when we were halfway today, because we knew we were on the other side of the mountain on our way back. The snow came at about 50 minutes to go, and you know, for whatever reason, it did bring a bit of emotion. I don't know why. It must be because we're tired, but it's done, and we're all happy, and we all survived, and yeah, looking forward to tomorrow.
And you came up with a tactic to deal with the emotional moments, getting Barry McDermott singing.
Yeah, because I was worried he was going to send everyone to sleep, actually. So we had the same old jokes and stories, and that's probably what set me off getting emotional. But yeah, Baz started to sing, and Phil started to not Phil who's on here today. The other Phil who's on the bike with us started to sing as well, and they were great. You know, that support you get whilst you're out and you're tired, and it stops you overthinking about how long you got left, how far you've got, how fast you're running. Just takes your mind off it, makes you laugh. So Baz were very good today.
Yeah, I was going to say that, you know, obviously he's helped as well. If you're struggling for sleep tonight, just remember a few of them stories and you'll drift right off.
Yeah, I might give him a call, actually. I might give him a call just before bed, put him on loudspeaker and ask him a question, and then I'll be away in minutes.
And the route you're doing, it's the one you've done a couple of times now, just around your home place there. Is there parts of it that you particularly enjoy, or you know at certain points that if you're going well there, it's you're feeling good?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we've done it that many times, or not always as a marathon. You know, I'm not that crazy, but certainly I have different 10K routes around here, different half marathon routes. So I always know how far I am away from home. But there's certain landmarks that, you know, I run past my old high school 4 times, which is great. Obviously, both my kids are there at the minute, so it's nice to know that I'm close to them. sort of the big main village, Uppermill, which is, well, you've seen yourself today. Jonesy knows it quite well as well. It's all lit up great at Christmas time, and just love being in around that village because I've got some really fond memories of being a kid there. So, but it's nice to just to run through the different villages and know that, you know, you're constantly telling yourself, I might not see this village again until Monday, or, you know, I've got another loop, so I'm going to see it one more time, and all those things are going through your head. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I think the change of scenery would be really good for us. Really looking forward to running Leeds. Once again, so many memories from different places in Leeds as well. So I'm really looking forward to that.
And in terms of today's run, you spoke about the team yesterday on our vlog. One member of the team in particular really dug deep today. Chris, he suffered an injury, but still managed an incredible time.
Yeah, he's an absolute warrior. I think my respect for him today has gone up massively. He fought against you know, a calf problem, and as most people out there know, if you get an hamstring or a quad, you can pretty much carry on running. But if your calf goes, it's like you've been shot. And I don't know how he managed it, because there was still I bet there were 14 or 15k still left to go, and he's got through and he got in under time, and just remarkable, just an amazing effort. I mean, he's 50-year-old and he's done 4 back-to-back marathons, and it's just like all under 4 hours. He's a great runner, but it's incredible, you know, because emotionally as well, like you're not prepared for where it takes you. And a bit like today, I hadn't a clue why I got emotional, but it just happens, and he's done outstandingly well. So deserves a special mention.
You mentioned there Leeds, over in Leeds from Saturday and Sunday. It's the same route both days. In terms of preparation, it's a bit of an unknown for you, because it's not the routes you've been running. You know very well, as you say, you know exactly where you are from home. How will that play into your psychology going into Saturday and Sunday?
Probably massively. Probably a little bit on edge about it. Although absolutely love the city, because I don't actually. I mean, I've seen the route, but a lot of it I don't know. There's some areas I don't really know that well, so I will be guided and certainly helped in that regard. I think once we've done one loop though, and I get an understanding of it, that'll be a lot better. And there's certainly some bits I'm really looking forward to seeing. The comfort I will have will be my watch, because it'll tell me exactly how fast and how far. And like we discussed this morning, it's not about breaking any records or we were never going to earn a medal after today, but it were about getting through under 4 hours, and that's it, and getting through intact and getting through healthy, and ensure we keep that tally ticking over, which has been wonderful. And
I know that when we've spoken about these calls and hearing people's stories with their relationship with MND, that's been something that's inspired everyone involved in the team.
Very much so. Do you know, I am absolutely amazed at the amount of people that have been affected by MND. You speak to most people about, and it's another horrendous disease, but there's different types of cancers. You hear people talk about cancers, and everybody knows somebody, and you think MND is quite rare, but it's not. It's not at all. There's so many people who've had their own struggles or fights, or have family members or friends who have had to take on this challenge, and you just don't realise at all. You don't realise, and that's why, you know, now as I'm learning more and more about it every single day, that's why it's so important what we're doing. You know, the awareness we're getting. Obviously, I know it's big for Rob. We want to try and find a cure. And hopefully by doing the little bit that we're doing can provide some funds to help get that a little bit further down the line.
And that's a great opportunity to bring Tracy in. Obviously, Tracy, your relationship with MND and MND Association in particular came about when your husband was diagnosed with MND.
That's right, yes. Unfortunately, David passed away in April of 2016, having only had the disease for 7 months. So things, as you can imagine, moved rather quickly. We did get in touch with the association, and they were able to get us an electric riser recliner chair very quickly, much more quickly than social services would have been able to have done. And that was one of the main things. The other thing that was helpful was the amount of information that they publish that's available online on the website, or you can have it sent to you in whatever format you need. So all that kind of thing gave us, you know, a lot of help at the time. Do you want me to go on and tell you about volunteering then?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you work with Bradford Uni, don't you? In terms
I
of
do a bit. Yeah, well,
students?
I had a 35-year career in Bradford in the NHS as a physio. And so when I decided I wanted to do some volunteering with the MND Association, I answered an advert in the Thumbprint magazine, which is the quarterly magazine that comes from the association. So I fired off an email. This was about 15 months after he'd died. And, you know, you sort of start thinking, right, now what am I going to do? Because I gave up work to look after him. So officially retired, and sent off an email, and within 20 minutes had a phone call and was recruited there and then, mainly as an association visitor. And so that's how that started. And what an association visitor does is to go out and see people who are living with MND, either the person themselves or their family, in their own home, in the local coffee shop, wherever, it doesn't matter. Might be over the phone, by email, that kind of thing. So I had some training, quite a lot of training for that, and lots of follow-ups. And I also became a clinic volunteer in Bradford at the Marie Curie Hospice, which is where the MND clinic runs once a month. So in normal times, I meet and greet and make cups of tea and coffee as people come into their appointments, have a bit of a chat. Sometimes it's their first visit, which is, you know, it's a bit rabbits in headlights. They don't know what they're coming for. They've got this devastating diagnosis. So I'm just kind of there. I tell them, you know, my background, that I've lived through it. Obviously, no two people are the same with MND. There is such a big variety, but you know, a lot of the problems that people get are the same. So coming from my standpoint seems to help them. So do that kind of thing. And then I decided to try and use my contacts, because I still had a few from work. And some of my colleagues are still teaching at the Uni, so where the physio course is run. And so for the last 2 or 3 years now, I've gone in and been a bit secretive, really. We've not told the students my background until I'm there. And then we do a bit of the shock and awe tactics, and they're going to remember my story, because I'm afraid when I tell them it's no what, you know, it's no holds barred, it's warts and all. But they're going to remember that much more than reading a PowerPoint presentation, to my way of thinking. And if you've got some anecdotes to tell, those are the sort of things that students remember. So yeah, I do that. I've also been to the Leeds Med School with one of the association members, and we've talked to second year medical students and done something similar as well. Made them cry the first time I did it, which made me cry as well, but that's okay, we got over that. But again, they'll remember that. And then it's all about, with the education side of it, trying to tie in what they might see in the clinic situation. And, you know, they may be the first person that starts to put the story together, because what we find is a lot of people with MND go here, there and everywhere and see various specialists before they actually get a diagnosis. And you know, we get to them, which is really frustrating for them, as you can imagine. But you do have to remember that your average GP may only see 1 or 2 people with MND in their whole professional career. So it's hardly surprising that if someone comes with some strange, vague symptoms in the early days, it is difficult to put it together. So that's kind of what I do. So there's the education side of it, the clinic volunteering, the association visitors sort of thing. And then joined the West Yorkshire branch, and sort of ended up on the committee. I'm not quite sure how, but these things happen. And then
they say a willing volunteer is worth 1,000 conscripts.
Yeah. And then got on the fundraising committee as well, more or less at the same time that Jen joined the association. And a big thanks goes to the Rhinos, to the foundation. I've got the names here, Bob Bowman and Dan Busfield, who approached us in the summer of 2019 wanting to offer their services, really. And so we've had all of one meeting. We had more scheduled this year at the stadium to hold our get-togethers, because the West Yorkshire branch holds monthly get-togethers for anybody connected with MND. So it might be past carers like myself, it might be people who've currently got MND, it can be anybody. And we usually hold them in places like garden centres. You may ask why. Well, they've usually got good disabled access, lots of disabled friendly parking. They usually have a cafe that does good coffee and cake, always a bonus. And they're just good places to get together. But some of them manoeuvring around when you've got several people in wheelchairs can be difficult. And when the Rhinos approached us with the offer of some room space, I was one of the people that got taken along to a game. That was the first for me. I come from Bradford, Leeds, yeah. So Leeds that particular night managed to absolutely thrash Catalan Dragons, so that was very nice to watch.
Well, you're a lucky omen.
I don't know about that. And we were looked after very well. And the upshot was that the Rhinos wanted to offer free tickets to people with MND and their families, which was spectacular. And also the offer of the rooms was there, which is great, because it's difficult for us to find accessible venues, really. And obviously with the new stand and everything, it's so disabled friendly. It was fantastic. So really pleased about that. So yes, that's kind of how I got involved, talking to people because I've been through it, but also with my physio background, I've got a bit more of an idea maybe of what sort of aids and adaptations might be on the cards, and make a few suggestions that way, where to get hold of things, which one of those many healthcare professionals that they suddenly have hovering over them, which one to ask for things, like maybe some grips in the bathroom, something as simple as that, but they're never quite sure who to go to. So it's just a bit of signposting, really.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I know with Rob, obviously with his wife Lindsay being a physio in the NHS, that her colleagues have been fantastic help for her as well. Yeah,
it was a bit strange when we were going through it, because the physiotherapist on the team was actually one that had been one of my juniors back in the day. So that was a bit, but in a nice way. I think it was great for us, but maybe not so much for them. It was a bit awkward to start with, but then it's okay. But yeah, it's all about trying to raise the awareness, really. That's what we do. Just going back to what we've been doing through lockdown, because obviously everything had to stop. So we've done our get-togethers. We started using Zoom, so we do that monthly. So some of the money that is raised is paying for that. We give out quite a few grants when we've got some money. One phone call that I made to a chap fairly recently, he highlighted the fact that he'd got a special toilet that self-cleaned him. Without that, he couldn't manage, because he lived by himself and he couldn't really manage. It was either that or go into care. And unfortunately, he'd had it a while and it was absolutely fine. And the local council had up until then been paying for the service charge. But after 5 years of doing that, they stopped just like that. So he was a bit stuck, worried that he was going to be stuck without his toilet. So we got in touch with the right people and we managed to get a grant for him to pay for the maintenance for the next 3 years. So that's just one of the things that just cropped up just in a phone conversation, and had it sorted for him. And by the next time I rang him 3 weeks later, the engineer had been paid, the engineer had been out and he was sorted, and his maintenance contract was up and running. So it's just knowing that you can do little things like that, that you can tick that off as something that's easily sorted, and that the money that is being raised, yes, a whole lot of it we know is going to go towards research, but the care side of it, you know, it can go into grants such as that. And it might only seem a small thing, but for that man, it's his whole independence.
That's fantastic, Tracy. And
Yeah.
Ian, having wonderful volunteers like Tracy must be a fantastic addition to the MND Association. You know, fantastic ambassador for everything the charity's about.
Tracy and volunteers like her up and down the country absolutely are. You know, Phil, I've just been reflecting on the stories that we've heard on these interviews this last week, and whether it's Tracy today or Danny or John or Stephen, we're hearing about all these different individuals and families who've been affected by MND, and we're here today because of the inspiration of Rob, Kevin's inspirational run. And MND is only going to be defeated between a partnership of lots of people, whether it's those generous people that are sponsoring Kevin, whether it's the fantastic volunteers like Tracy who are providing local care and support. All of these pieces come together to enable the MND Association as a whole to do what it does. So, at risk of repeating myself, a big thank you to everybody who's been so supportive of Kevin this week. A big thank you to all of our volunteers and all of the other donors and fundraisers who continue day in, day out to enable the association to fight MND and work in partnership to get to where we want to, which is eventually that cure. So yeah, absolutely, Tracy, you're an absolute star. So all the people like you, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Tracy, you need to go and sit on the top of your Christmas tree, don't you? What wonderful person you are. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
And Ian, if people are inspired by Tracy's story, and who wouldn't be, how would you go about becoming a volunteer for the MND Association?
You can volunteer by contacting your local branch or group, but come onto the MND Association webpage and you can follow the links there to get involved. As you know, as I say, you can get involved financially, but equally your time is really, really important by volunteering, by becoming a campaign contact, by working with your local branch or group, or doing things independently. There are lots of different ways that people can volunteer. They can do as much or as little as they like, do something that they're particularly good or interested in to really help that, you know, that overall fight against MND. That's
fantastic. And great to hear those stories and great inspiration. I know, talking of stories, I know one man who loves to hear stories and tell stories is Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Delighted to have you on board, Jonesy. How have you been? I know you hold Kevin in that very highest esteem, but his efforts this week, what have you made of them?
Can you hear me? I think Kev's been a pillar of inspiration for me from being 12 years old. I've never made that a secret. And, you know, from being about 12, I've always tried to emulate a lot of what he does because I knew it'd get me down a pretty positive path. So I think looking at what he's done since he announced that he was going to do it, and you think to yourself, wow, that's a fair challenge, that. And you start to ask yourself, with everything, you ask yourself, what would I look like doing that? And this year, actually, I've been doing a lot of running. When I retired, I thought to myself, I'm done with cardiovascular stuff. I'm just going to do weights and try and get a gangster rapper rig or something like that. And the absolute opposites happened because my wife likes to run. Lockdown happened and running was a great time or opportunity to spend a lot of time with my wife. And so I have done and ended up trimming up. In fact, I remember doing a vlog at the start of lockdown saying I wanted to lose 5 or 6 kilograms, and it's been more like 6 or 7. Though it's taken me a lot longer than I wanted because my diet's not been great, you know, getting older and enjoying it. But I've done enough running to know how hard what Kev is doing is, and it's horrendous. But Kev's always been the master of preparation, hasn't he? And as soon as he decided he was going to do it, as well as all the backlog of runs he's already done, I've no doubt he would have uncovered every stone to prepare to nail it in the way that he is doing. And I've no doubt that he'll carry on doing that right through until he's finished and completed it. And on top of that, mate, the money that's been raised, the attention that it's brought to MND, and the awareness and money that's brought into it, it's just been fantastic, really inspirational, and it's wonderful that everybody's got involved, and certainly Kev for putting up such a tough challenge, which on Sunday, hopefully, mate, I'm going to try and jog along with and give him a bit of a tour guide of Leeds myself around some of the less known areas.
I look forward to seeing you as you're running along, going on your left and on your right, and you're in a bit of a potted history.
We'll be running the fastest through Gipton, where Danny Maguire run up. I think everywhere else pretty steady. But yeah, it'd be good. But listen, I just want to get through it. He keeps talking about doing it in 4 hours, and then I see his times and think, I might be a few minutes after, mate. But under 4 hours, if it means I have to catch him up later on,
we'll stay together.
We'll
stay together, mate. Teamwork.
Especially since you've just said you've got to get in front because you don't know route as well. Thinking I can see a 320 here, mate.
Look, if you get us in, Jonesy, at 3:58, I'm happy. 3:59, just a bit. Oof. We're just getting a bit too close for comfort there. 3:58, I'm happy with, all right.
I'm also worried though, but I'll take your word for it. But I'm also worried when talking about getting tired, because I know what Kev's like when he gets tired, mate. He's just perfect 99% of the time, but you don't want to tire him out, mate. I'm telling you, because it's shock and awe, George Bush style, if you wind him up. So I'm gonna behave myself, keep my mouth shut, and just keep plodding along, mate. Just keep swimming like Nemo.
Great stuff. And of course, our inspiration all week is the man himself, Rob Burrow. You've often told the story of how you first met Rob at the Royal Armoury's tennis display you were manning. But what are your first memories of him at the training ground in the academy when you saw him there?
Mate, when I first saw him at the training ground, all I thought was, that's that kid from that exhibition. It was flipping ruined my day. But no, it was funny. Obviously, I've known about Rob for ages in his rugby league, and seeing him growing up, he stood out obviously like a sore thumb because he's always been small. We always laugh and talk about it. But it was great to get to know obviously Rob for all these years. And it's funny, I'm sat actually, well, remember this. I mean, I've just nipped off actually. We've been planning pre-season with Rich Agar and Sean Long. I've nipped into a quiet room and I'm just reminiscing. This is the old meeting room where most of our tactics and game plans that we've eventually created memories that we hold so dear in playing together were created. And so I'm just looking, and the funny thing is as well, rooms like this, when you have meeting rooms, is that without you realising it, you always sit in the same spot. So I'm just looking now and thinking back, conceptualising where everybody used to sit. But mate, time of my life, you know, my playing career, and Kev, Rob, and all those players will always be a dear part of my heart and everything that I do. So it's great to jump on with Kev and support Rob and MND in general on Sunday and hopefully get round.
And in terms of the inspiration Rob's provided, it's fantastic to see how well we always knew how well loved he was, but to the wider public, you know, the outpouring of love for Rob, particularly on the back of the documentaries that have been on for him and everything, it's put him right at the top of the mountain where he deserves to be. Yeah,
absolutely. And you won't see it from that perspective, but obviously I love storytelling. I've always said I always start every talk with life is a narrative, and human beings are only animals that tell each other stories. And I heard an artist actually, they were talking about the Arts Council recently, that a lot of the best art is manifests from adversity. So we see some of the deepest and most motivational stories come out. And listen, you know, I've been involved in a lot of those stories, some of the videos and the documentaries that have been made. And if I've not been involved with them from an in front of the camera point of view, I'm never far from being behind it. I'm certainly like learning and hearing and sharing those stories and doing whatever I can to do it. So the point I'm trying to make is I've seen and heard everything that everybody's got to say about Rob, from his inspiration to the funny stories and the comedian that he's always been, mate, and still is. And you know, it'll always be with us. We were with Danny Maguire and Baz yesterday, and again just chatting. So it's been wonderful, and the time everybody's committed to putting that together has been fantastic and inspiring in itself.
And we know Rob's was always a bit of a joker in the dressing room. I know him and Kev had a pact of mutual destruction. So it was like the old Soviet Union and the USA, that they would never go to war with each other because it'd be destroyed. But were you ever the butt of it? The butt of Rob's? Yeah. Yeah, all the time, mate. All the time. And I could start reeling them off now. In the politically correct world, I don't think I can repeat him now these days, mate. I was going to stick to just to give it to me, Rob, mate, unbelievable. My favourite one
And just by the way, with Kev, the reason why they had that pact is because you don't play jokes on Kevin Sinfield. It's like a disproportionate response. You know, like we've got the Trident nuclear missiles in submarines that go out into Europe and stuff like that to stop anybody from doing up to us. Well, if you do the first time you do something to Kev, you don't do it again. So that's why there was a pact. Rest of us didn't mind it.
That's not true, Jonesy. That's not true.
You know it's true. So
that's not true.
He's got a sense of humour, by the way. He's got the best sense of humour in the right place, in the right environment. But yeah, listen, it was always a verbal banter with Rob. My favourite ones, the one that I probably heard a lot about with when we were getting ready for a game. And the reason why it so stuck to my mind is because I'm an assistant coach now. One of my sort of big passions is making short changing rooms is good. So you want to look round and make sure lads are on and you're talking a little bit about your game. And you have to contrast it with how we were, you know, say we as our generation of players. And there's I don't know if it's a folly. It is definitely true that we were always really intense, especially at big games. But in time, we also knew where we could get away with having a bit of fun. And, you know, I was contrasting how I'd feel about it if I was a coach now, walking in and seeing that one of the lads has got a Jaffa cake and melted it down, licked it, and stuck it in somebody else's underpants to make it look like he's got a lot of skid marks in there. We're all rolling just before the game, and I think to myself, wow, that'd be interesting. But mate, there's loads of great stories that we've heard, and love him to bits, and always thinking about him.
Great stuff, Jonesy. We'll round off, Kev. Just looking ahead to tomorrow. In terms of your body, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel all right. I'm going to go and get, as soon as we've finished game, I'm going to go and get in the ice bath and start putting myself back together. So, yeah, I'm good. Really looking forward to tomorrow. It's an earlier start because obviously we're travelling over.
Not for me.
Not for you. You deserve it, Phil. You deserve an extra hour in bed tomorrow. So an earlier start for us, but yeah, I can't wait to get over. There's one thing for sure, the weather will be better in Leeds because it always is. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've put a call into Ryan Gordon, our head groundsman Headley, who's normally quite good with the weather forecast. So I'll be updating the WhatsApp group later on with the forecast. So keep in the loop for that one. In terms of your preparation for in the build up to a run, what sort of time are you getting up? Are you fueling up of a morning, stretching and all that sort of thing?
No, just I know Jonesy said about planning and preparation there. Very much so when I played. I don't think I can live the rest of my life like that though, because it was just that regimented and strict. Well, not strict, probably the wrong way, probably too strong, but just had a routine and followed it. So I have winged this a little bit, as I've said. The 3 and 3 I did was the best training I could do for it. And then in terms of recovery, you're drawing on your experience from your time as a player. You know, LB, Leeds Beckett Uni have certainly passed on some advice or some things I should be considering. But probably the best thing I've done so far is that has really worked has been get on the bike. So I'll get in an ice bath now, warm up again, and then probably just before evening meal, jump on the bike for half an hour, just turn my legs over, nice, slow and steady, try and free all my hip flexors up, then back in the ice bath. And then actually you'll laugh at this because people from Oldham are known as the tuber grip people because it used to be made in Oldham. So I will get my tuber grip on my feet and my shins and my calves and try and make sure they don't swell for morning.
Well, you say that. I went into a chemist today looking for tuber grip for Chris. And they looked at me as if I'd invented it. Right.
Well, they got rid of it now. There used to be Jonesy will remember it because he spent a fair amount of time in Oldham with me, but there used to be a big railway bridge right in the centre of town. And across the front of it was the tuber grip people. It's gone now. Like everything gets knocked down and they put trams in. But yeah. So that's a real shame that people don't know what tuber grip is anymore because it is actually brilliant.
And you mentioned there about Leeds Beckett and the sport. They've given another mention there in terms of the recoveries. MSC, our partners at the Rhinos, I knew you were struggling today when the shout came out that you wanted the cola gels, because you'd said earlier in the week you didn't like the cola ones because they make you pee. So I thought, well, he's gone for the caffeine. He needs a digger.
Yeah, that was inspired by Rob Burrow. If you knew how much caffeine Rob has, how many Red Bulls, anything with caffeine, he's all over. So just one of those moments where, do you know what? I feel like I've had that much sugar in them gels that I'm going to need a new set of teeth come next Monday. So Monday afternoon when we finished. So I thought, well, if I'm going to go down, I'll go down swinging. Give me the cola one.
That's Andy. If you were thinking about getting a new set of teeth, I suspect that might have been more to do with that Baz was riding next year all day.
Yeah, they were shiny then. They were shiny.
And you've had fantastic support from people on the road, and no doubt that'll be the same in Leeds. I mean, you'd echo the thoughts we've had. That, you know, welcome for people to come out, but please do stay safe, socially distanced, face masks on, and you know, remember that Kev's is going for this time, so he'll be flying along. You give him a clap and a cheer and wave him on. But it'd be great to see people over the weekend, Kev.
Absolutely, yeah. I know a lot of people have been asking about advertising the routes. We faced some real challenges with that, and when we got clearance from Public Health England and local authorities, you know, it was part of the clearance. But for people, if you're going to come out, it'd be absolutely brilliant to see you. Like I said, seeing a smiley, friendly face absolutely gives you a bit more energy and spurs you on. And it'd be great to see everybody. But please do it safely. Please do it in line with government advice. I have to say at this point, I think it's only right. Tom Reardon, CEO of Leeds City Council, and Judith Blake, the leader of Leeds City Council, have been absolutely marvellous in all of the planning for being in and around Leeds. They're huge fans of the Rhinos, absolutely huge fans of Rob Burrow, and I can tell you now they have donated a lot of money to this fund. So I can't thank them both enough. Really looking forward to being in Leeds.